Swadikap. Welcome to King Narai's Palace, my favorite place for the palace that I have been there since when I was a child. I'm here because this king is very important for Thailand because he is as such a very international king. The reason is that he established the link between Thailand, France and several other countries such as Portugal and the other Westerners countries. That is the reason why I would like to present you to this place. Now, we would like to know where's the old name of Thailand before. So Thailand used to be called as Siam. But the kingdom of Siam was one of the most important kingdom when it was at the 16th and 17th, in the 17th centuries. And this is actually us. We are generally here in the peninsula. And then from this part of the ways, this is all the Europeans are generally coming to us. And then we have been establishing all their commercial links and their cultural and the relative links that we generally do. So we actually having the important part because Thailand used to be a buffer state between England and France. We are in the middle of what they call the Indochina Peninsula, and that is why all the culturals and other influentials and actually came to us. This is an important treatise that we have it exactly as a copies. An upper one is generally the old Thai script. Generally, this is the treaty between Siam and France in the 1687. In the range of King Narai, there were three treaties that were signed between Siam and France. The main contents of this treaties was given special favor for tradings to the France East Indian Company. The freedom of Christianity is in the kingdom of Siam and giving special consideration in the court to the French subjects. The third treatise was promulgated in Lopburi, which is actually where the palace is, on the 11th December of 1687. The treaty was signed at the bottoms by the ambassador called La Loubière. And it represents the French interest that it was also stamped by the three seals of Siamese authorities that you can actually see over there. And this is actually an important part that mostly all the Thai people we are known to. This is pictures of depictions of the Siamese envoys led by the Kosapan. He is the ambassadors to the kingdom of Siam, and presented a royal letters accompanied by the royal gifts of Panarai to Louis XIV at the Versailles Palace. So as you can actually see, this is the Siamese ambassador group, and that is the way that we actually bounce to the king. And this exactly the king, the Louis XIV. Very interesting piece of history. The geniusness of the King Narai also is about the astronomy. He is very interesting to the star. So the astronomical influentials that King Narai was giving is the study of celestial phenomena of the calendrical and geographical purpose to predict the occurrence of an eclipse. And it was knowledge that the Siamese people has been familiar with long before Westerners introduced the science of astronomy into the kingdom. However, towards the end of Pranarai reign, Louis XIV of France promoted the study of astronomy and then sent the priests to set up the study center in the lands outside Europe. And it was actually a very pioneer thing that it had been done. And this is actually has been concluded that the team of astronomers chose Siam and China as the study locations in the east, and Pranarai, the King Narai, cooperated with the project by giving his permission to set up observatories in Ayutthaya and Lopburi province. Astronomy was also his personal interest, and when a group of diplomats was sent to France, they were assigned to bring back the telescope, a global astronomical equipment from Paris just actually send it to him over there as a assignment as astronomical studies. Yeah. So and this is what actually have been done on the December 10th, 1685, and that actually is amazing that it had been done actually 400 years ago. Yeah. This is also his geniusness. So this tree actually furniture, we could call that a royal furniture, is in fact the scriptures cabinet for the Buddhist scriptures in the temple. And it has been, there said over here that through the mentions that it was transferred from the National Library in Bangkok to the National Museum of Library in 1971. And the shape of the cabinet was also the glided lacquer. Decorations on panels show significant resemblance to the arts of the late Ayutthaya period. Ayutthaya was actually the capital before Bangkok that we established. The outstanding parts of this cabinet is the curved and glided design between the legs of the cabinet, showing the wrinkled European putty grasping the top of the vine, and it is possible that this work of art was created in the 17th centuries when European art was becoming familiar to us, the Siamese. So as you can see all those details, it's exactly the old Thai script. I'm unable to read it, but actually it's familiar to this script that we actually had been knowing till date for the Thai scripts. So Buddhism actually is the main important religions to our kingdom in the past and up to date. So this is Lumpuk. As you see that the previous our Siamese ambassador wearing when he went to salute Louis XIV, and it called actually in Thai as a lumpuk. And the sister, the tall spare headdress form parts of uniform on the functioning to be worn on the official occasions to conceal the tightly woven turban. Siamese ambassador to France in 1686 dressed in the Persian manner. So as you can see in details, if we actually gripped these parts showing the influential between Persian dress and actually that Thai royal house had been implied to us, and this is exactly the envelope, the bags actually, the box that actually carry this lompok. So this is actually an important painting that stated about the relations between the Vatican and the Siamese during the reign of Panarai. The presentations of King Narai letters to the Pope Innocent XI at the Vatican on December 23rd, 1688. The group of Siamese envoys included Father of Techats and 3 Siamese mandarins. The purpose of sending these envoys to the Vatican was to make known that King Narai's policy of supporting the Catholics in Siam among the Europeans. So actually during the Lopburi periods we have all of Buddhism, Christianity and Islam actually glided into together and lived in harmony. This is actually another genesis of the King Narai himself. So this is our ambassador, Go Sapan หรือออกยาวิสุทธสุนทร. He was the head of Siamese embassy to France in 1685. During his stay in France, he was very popular with the Parisians, and accounts of his charm, wit and understandings of the culture that surrounded him. Louis XIV welcomed him and his college with the great honor. When he returned to Siam near the end of the reign of King Narai, he did not agree with King Narai's policy of allowing French troops to occupy Bangkok. and decided to side with another king, actually the great soldiers of his, two rebels against him in 1688. In the range of his person who actually deal with Prophet Pisha was also appointed as a minister of commerce and foreign affairs after their King Narai has been taking place, and actually he passed away in the 1700. This is the elephant staples, actually had been built by King Narai, but King Narai, I forgot to mention to you, he actually the King Narai the Great, because he makes a lot of improvements in our Siamese societies as a countries. It had been built in 1666 for the keeping of the royal elephant, because elephant is actually a very important animal for soldiers, for honorary things, all the rich people. It's like a kind of expensive cars nowadays actually. And they're actually built it on approximately at this level to keep other royal elephants, and as a house of the elephant keepers. The residence of the elephant keepers is so general is next to it, but now it actually has been demolished because normally it had been built by the bamboo. And he is also use his elephant for hunting, because before Siam was a jungle and this area was actually incidentally full of forests, but right now is no longer like this anymore. What's the pity? So this is King Narai the Great Palace. Actually it's called Sutasawan Royal Hall. It had been built in the range of King Narai the Great in 1666, the same time as was the elephant settles, as his private residence. The hall is surrounded by a small boundary, as you can actually see. And at the corner there was a 4 pounds for the king to bath in. The nearby there is a fountain sprout came out of the grotto. King Narai planted the flowers, orange and lemon tree himself along the two sides of pathways decorated with breast lamps and pole for burning fragrance wood. The King Narai the Great passed away in this building on the July 11th of 1688. So this is exactly where he rests. But indeed, right now was no longer left. It used to be an absolutely place that very, very important for the people to worship, because you generally cannot enter to the King Palace if you are a male like me. It's only allowed for interior part of the palace by those women who actually permitted by the king. So as you can see, this is indeed his residence. It used to be a hall, the royal hall, as the pavilions, and that is left in on the grades, destroyed by the times. So we actually gone very few stats about the history, but anyway, the things have to go on. So as we are seeing and proceeding these inner parts of the palace, we generally gonna see that there's a lot of elephant settles that are actually built by the king. That's one we have seen before, and this is the other side that generally has been kept as a royal elephant that had been done. So in the parts, all of the buildings are extremely tall rather than usual, because they don't have an air conditioning, and Thai weather is absolutely humid. So that's why they need agricultural techniques in order to let the air flows, and it's very, very nice and very important indeed for the what is called scientific ways of engineering, the building engineering that we actually have seen. It's very one important part actually. In Thailand, there was a proverb saying that since the lices goat, you know, the lice, the things that actually bitten the dog. So the reason is that it's coming from these proverbs, these buildings. We call it Prachao Hao Hall, and it's built also in the King Narai the Great in the 1666. In this building, there probably have been the royal chapel in which the principal Buddha image himself called Prachao Hao, and has been once placed there. When the King Narai was seriously ill, the Prapet Raja, which is actually the potential kings after him, call a meeting of the noblemen and seize the power from the king from these buildings. This is the reception hall for the foreign visitors that actually built by the King Narai the Great in 1666. As a reception hall of the foreign ambassadors and the visitors, it was situated in the royal garden, if you have seen here, surrounded by a small ditch which was decorated with 20 fountains. The royal banquets were held in these buildings in honors of the French and Persian ambassadors in 1685 and 1687 receptions. Actually, as you can see, the influentials of the Persian cultures that actually come to us is going to the head, which we have seen previously. So this is the 12 royal storage buildings, and it had been built at the reign of the King Narai the Great in 1666. And there are 2 rows bricks buildings comprised with 12 halls, and it can be surmised that they were storage building or wherever the warehouse for the royal processions and merchandise from then overseas. It is saying that the King Narai has asked for some clothes from one of these storage buildings and give them to his closest courtier to enable them to become monks before he died. So actually it's extremely important part actually. You can just see it around. So this is the important part also. This is a house, the residence of Praya Vishayen or Constantine Falcons, or in Greek we call him Konstantis Yerakis. I was actually graduated from Greece, and I'm very honored that the Greek people can actually go this high ranking for the civil servants of the Kingdom of Siam. So he was born in 1647 in Cephalonia in Greece. It's an island, and then he died here unfortunately in 1688, the same years of that the King Narai the Great has been passed away. And because actually it was kind of the siege risings, so he had been actually decapitated, and it's kind of very, very sad stories. But anyway, he has a wife that actually she's half Portuguese, half Japanese, and her name is Maria Goma de Pina. And we call her in Thai as a Tao Tong Kip Ma, and she is generally the ladies who invented several other favorite Thai desserts that actually made of eggs and flowers that you actually know if you have been in Thailand before. So the ambassador of the French ambassadors had been led by him because he actually doing all the important parts, and actually the next king that actually decapitated him thought that he is the one who induced Christianity into Siam too much, and they didn't like that the King Narai is letting a lot of Westerners that occupied Ayutthaya and Lopburi at the same time. So that was the stories, and indeed this was his residence. This is called Wat Pun. In Thai we can actually call the pistols temple, and it's not exactly entirely clear what exactly Pun mean, but it's from assumed that it might actually means to the arrow that the King Rama, since the temple is situated next to city shrines, and can also refer to the gunsmith place on the same land. As I was explaining it to you, that over here in Lopburi there's a lot of missionaries villages. We have Portuguese villages, we had French villages, we had Japanese villages. So all of the foreigners can actually be allowed over here. It's actually the very good settlements in the 16th and the 17th centuries when the foreigners come to Thailand and actually take place and doing tradings, and that was why making the Kingdom of Siam very well established and a very wealthy kingdom once in these regions.